Namaste, Jai Hind. I'm Anand Narasimhan, and it's time for free hit with Anand and Ayaz. Ayaz Memon हमेशा की तरह हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं. The sun is out, my guns are out because I'm on a short break in Singapore. But the person who's right in the thick of all the action and who's already feeling the buzz around Virat Kohli is Ayaz Memon. So let's go straight across to Ayaz Bhai and ask him. Ayaz Bhai, Namaste, Jai Hind. That
Well, Anand,
electrifying atmosphere when the entire stadium in Melbourne went Jai Hey, वहीं से शुरू करते हैं and as we are building up to the next match against the Netherlands.
well, absolutely, Anand. I think if you're in Singapore, you're halfway there, so maybe you should come down under and see what the progress that India is making. But just to go back to that match, it was an absolutely. I mean, it was an incandescent innings, the kind of innings, a knock which can light up the whole World Cup, which is what Virat Kohli has done. And it came in a high pressure match in front of 90,000 people, match against Pakistan. And it's not just the strokes he played, the sixes he hit, and the fact that we won. It's how he shaped that knock. He walks into a crisis, takes a little time to settle in. There's been so much criticism about his strike rate not being up to acceptable standards in the modern T20 game. And then he produces this tour de force. It's an absolutely remarkable knock. I think perhaps the best T20 innings ever. Yes, we've had some great knocks. Yuvraj Singh hitting 6 sixes against Stuart Broad in 2007. We've had, a terrific 75, if I remember correctly, played by Gautam Gambhir in the final against Pakistan of that same tournament. We've had Carlos Braithwaite hitting 24 of the last over from Ben Stokes to win the title for West Indies in 2016. But this knock, for the sheer metal that he showed, the character he showed, remember he's coming on the back of 3 years of most protracted lean trot that I have ever seen. It's just gone on and on and on, and it seemed like he was going to be there's going to be no turnaround. But hey, this was a redemption song like none other.
82 of 52 in Mohali, 82 of 53 in Melbourne. Which for you is perhaps the best by Virat Kohli? Or would you go with what Rohit Sharma said towards the end of the match? He said that this may not be one of Virat's best innings, but this is one of his best innings for Bharat, for India.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would in fact say that both are true, what you said, that it is Virat's best innings. I think Virat himself said that. And obviously the best innings that India could have asked for from one of their premier batsmen. And look, whatever one says, Anand, and I know that an India-Pakistan match brings with it huge, mammoth pressure. And especially if you are a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma or a player of that caliber and that, kind of appeal that you have, it just kind of multiplies manifold. And then you're coming on the back of, as I mentioned, 3-year lean period. I mean, the way I see it, like John Milton wrote Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. For Virat Kohli, it was Paradise Lost in Adelaide in 2020 when India got bowled out for 36. Then he lost his captaincy. Then he lost the 2021 World Cup. Then he didn't do anything in the IPL, and everybody was writing him off. People were questioning whether he should be in the squad at all for this World Cup. And then he comes and plays this knock at MCG at Melbourne. So Paradise Lost at Adelaide and Paradise Regained at Melbourne.
अरे आपने खुद ही बोला था इससे पहले, मैच से पहले, ये मैच में चमके नहीं, ये सीरीज में चमके नहीं, तो फिर साइड पे बैठना पड़ेगा. But the point is, Ayaz bhai, at what point of the match did you think कि हम ये मैच हम जीत सकते हैं? Because at 31.4 into the 7th, 31.4 into the 7th over, मैंने बोला मैच घुस गया. Then last 3 overs, you needed 48 to get in the last 3, with Shaheen Shah Afridi having 1 over, Haris Rauf had 1 over. And then we figured out कि वो नवाज को बचा के रख रहे हैं towards the last, or leave it that make it impossible for anybody to hit him out of the park and still win it. That's what they were trying to do. Do you think your mood changed with that Shaheen Shah Afridi over where he went for 3 boundaries? Or were you still waiting for the Haris Rauf over to see what happened? And did those 2 sixes change it for you?
Well, I think the 2 sixes now in retrospect were really the crucial hits, But I think it started in the partnership with Pandya that he had, and that was a glorious partnership. It started with Pandya going after Mohammad Nawaz and giving that little impetus and keeping India in the hunt. You see, when your equation You have in a T20 game, you have to ensure. I mean, yes, these are fantastic players, but you can't let the run rate mount to 18, 20 and over because then you're looking, you're looking down the bore of a gun. But that over from Haris Rauf, who in these situations has been Pakistan's best bowler. Shah Afridi, of course, but Shah Afridi was coming back after an injury layoff. Looked a little ginger to me. But he's Shah Afridi, not easy to hit him for 3 4s. But those 2 6s were magical. One especially of the back foot straight over the bowler's head, going for 6. I mean, it just showed not the strength in his forearms and his wrist, but also his focus. It's not an easy shot to play against a fast bowler. And then that flick, and as Virat says, yeah, he was very candid that was a stroke he just went for instinctively, not knowing what will happen, but it went for a 6. Now those 2 6s actually I think demoralized the Pakistanis. Yes, they had 16 runs to defend in the last over, but by that time I think Babar Azam and the rest of the team was feeling the heat. Field placing suddenly you start finding on-field conferences beginning. 5 guys are giving an opinion or a suggestion to the captain. All that starts happening, and that's when players like Virat or of that caliber and that experience will smell a chance and make sure that he doesn't squander it.
True. For me, that first 6 was magical. It is not possible, humanly possible, for any other cricketer to try and attempt that back foot पे straight bat almost quite literally and सीधा bowler के सर के पीछे छक्का जो गया. It is a rarity, and only people of the caliber of Virat Kohli can actually even think of executing something like that and even pull through with that. But let's also not let's dwell a little also on that last over. क्या drama. फिर वो नो बॉल पड़ा 3 में 7 3 में 13 चाहिए थे वो 3 में 7 हो गया. क्या ड्रामा था वो.
I mean, it's an entire lifetime you spend in one over. All kinds of things happened. Single, wide, 3 runs of, for the 3 byes that they ran, a sixer and a no ball. So, I mean, it was bedlam. It was stumping ho gaya. It was absolute madness. And then Ashwin, look at the presence of mind. In that last over, what is really commendable, apart from that 6, was the presence of mind of Virat first to run those 3 byes. He knew that the ball wasn't dead and the ball was alive, so they could run the byes and they ran 3. And then Ashwin actually securing a wide. In that situation, any batsman would say, "Ek balla ghumao, let's see kya hota hai. If you have a little luck, you might get 1 and at least level the scores. If you get 2, you won the match." But he got that, he leveled the scores by just letting the ball go wide. I mean, he was playing actually on the bowler's, vulnerability. And the bowler delivered that wide and India were level on scores. And then, of course, came that hit.
So, and oftentimes what we end up doing as well is also, we remember the hero who scored 82. But you have to also give it to that man who showed that presence of mind to get you those vital 2 runs, because it's not 100 till you score that single run, and it's not yet 1 till you've scored that last run. So, leaving that ball for the wide and then the chip over off. Again, you need somebody of Ashwin's caliber to execute that chip so confidently, to put matters beyond doubt. And we have to say, कि वो वहाँ था इसलिए फर्क पड़ गया. Because on a day when DK से expected था कि वो finish कर देगा, बॉल उसके पैर पे लगता है, पीछे चला जाता है, उनका प्रेजेंस ऑफ माइंड उसको स्टंप निकाल देता है. Again, pressure is back on India, and to show such a cool head, it just says a lot. So we take that forward, and then the post-match, impact when post-match impact when Rohit Sharma comes out and what a bear hug he gives Virat Kohli. That also says a lot for players who are supposed to be fighting with each other. That's my son. Say hi to Ayaz Anand.
Hello.
All right. Let's.
I hope he plays cricket here. No, I think you're right. I mean, there's so much talk about Virat and Rohit.
Football ko shauq hai isko.
Virat and Rohit and the kind of chemistry that exists between them or doesn't exist. That has always been the surround sound. And I think that image, that picture which you talked about, it just kind of settles many issues that, I mean, dressing room में कभी अनबन होते रहती है, office में भी होती है, दफ्तर में भी होती है. These are things. But when you take the field in your country's colors, wearing the country's cap, you are actually not, thinking about वो ज़्यादा रन बना लेगा तो मैं पीछे रह जाऊंगा. ऐसा नहीं होता है. So I think that, the acknowledgement from a peer and a captain at that, which comes the way he went onto the field, and it showed the emotion that was running in the Indian dugout, in the Indian dressing room, and also the acknowledgement that you doff your hat, as they say, the expression goes, you doff your hat for an innings of genius, which is what Virat Kohli played. So Rohit Sharma went and he may have lifted him on his shoulders, but he was doffing. This is acknowledgement by an equally accomplished player, one might say, to say, look, what you've done today is absolutely spectacular, and hats off to you.
अब आज बताइए कि वी आर बिल्डिंग अप टू द नेक्स्ट मैच. अब ऐसा लगता है कि बाकी सब तो अब जो भी छोटा, अब बांग्लादेश क्या है, नेदरलैंड्स क्या है, साउथ अफ्रीका क्या है, सब तो अपने आप निकल जाएगा. बट पॉइंट इज दैट इंडिया हैव टू पुट मैटर्स बियॉन्ड डाउट. This Netherlands game is also going to be critical. It's not an easy one, and they've also played a game already. You see Bangladesh in a certain amount of ability, and they can pull off surprises. South Africa did not had to share points. So will all that make a difference with the weather playing true on? Action shifts to Sydney.
Yes, I think, look, it's a new venue, and you have to get adjusted to it very quickly. They've had a long break, a 1 week break, so that's good. There have been some complaints about the food and all that hopefully has been sorted out by now. But you're right. I mean, look, at the end of the day, India need to ensure that they're getting a place in the last four. Beating Pakistan was a major hurdle crossed. South Africa, having had to share points, has made India's case for getting into the next round even stronger, into the last four. It's actually also opened up a little hope for Pakistan, because now there is one. If South Africa had won 2 points against in the previous match against Zimbabwe, then it would have been difficult to overhaul them. For Pakistan, certainly that would have been a tough game. But having said that, India need to aim to get in this match the points that you get, as well as improve your net run rate. It could happen, like it's happening in the other group, where 3 teams have won a match each, and it'll between Australia and England, and the matters could go to the net run rate. So you want to ensure that your net run rate comes up, and I think that's where the story that is coming from the Indian camp is that Hardik Pandya khilayenge. Though he looked a little in pain or troubled after the first match, I think he will play this match too, just to ensure that your best 11 takes the field. And I must mention here about Hardik, Anand, in all fairness, he picked up wickets in that match. He played a superb knock. Correct. He played foil to Virat, but before Virat came into his own, he was the aggressor. In my opinion, correct, Hardik is clearly the MVP of this Indian team, has been for the last six or 7 months, the most valuable player. So his presence on the field is very important. But the big match is, of course, Sunday. When we play South Africa, you want to win. The hurdle in this group was always Pakistan and South Africa. If you win both those matches, then obviously you've coasted into the next round.
No, you're talking about Hardik, and here on Cricket Next we put it out also with Chetan watching him at the nets at that time, and they said कि match से पहले, Pakistan match से पहले पूरी Indian team का like a hard stop, because there was a ball that went straight from Shardul, went straight onto his knee, Hardik's knee, and he got a little injured. So everybody was wondering वो खेलेगा कि नहीं खेलेगा. But despite that, he's played. He's not just taken the wickets, those 3 crucial wickets, phenomenal spell. And then he's also come back and played that run, partnership, stitched that partnership. So those are things which, yes, we have to see how the health is. But have you been able to see the team at close quarters, Ayaz, since you have landed in Australia? Because many believe the kind of intensity which is there in the team now was perhaps not there the last time around. And perhaps this time around there is huge amount of intensity, which is also a big difference. And somewhere that intensity, that emotion also shone through when Rohit was almost in tears when the whole stadium erupted in Jai Hai, Jai Hai, singing the national anthem. That always gives you goosebumps. कितनी बार भी सुन लो कम है. मेरे वालों, and irrespective of the sport, आप फुटबॉल फील्ड में खड़े हो, हॉकी फील्ड में खड़े हो, आप बॉक्सिंग अरीना में खड़े हो, कहीं पर भी खड़े हो, the crowd is singing the national anthem. So imagine cricket, वो भी मेलबर्न में इस तरह से जय गूंज रहा था, तो रोंगटे तो मेरे भी खड़े हो. But do you feel there was kind of intensity which we've not seen before?
So I'll tell you what, Anand, I told you last time my wrist is fractured. My doctor says maybe I can fly down on Saturday. Hopefully I'll make it for the Sunday game. But I'm not there for the second game. But what I've been in touch with, say somebody like Ravi Shastri, I've been exchanging WhatsApp messages with him. I spoke to him. The intensity, according to him, will be redoubled. I mean, yes, Pakistan match can be very draining, emotionally draining, physically demanding. The match which finishes
Yeah.
on the last ball takes a heavy toll. But having won that match and in such spectacular
Yeah.
style, now the campaign gathers steam because ultimately the objective of this, yes, beat Pakistan, beat South Africa, but the ultimate objective is to win the title. And to win the title, you have to keep getting better and better. It might seem that the Netherlands is a very weak opponent. Yes, on paper it is, but T20 format में कुछ भी हो सकता है. West Indies को वापस घर भेज दिया है, in the first round itself, and they are twice champions earlier. So I think that India will, I think it's time for India to now start flexing its muscles even further. And I think the area, see, one issue which has been kind of resolved is, पहले match में, your first program we had discussed India's bowling not looking well settled. But that seems to have been sorted out except the spinners. Whether it should be Akshar or Yuzvendra Chahal is going to be the big thing coming up because I think Ashwin will retain his place. But Arshdeep bowled extremely well, Bhuvneshwar bowled superbly, so did Shami and Hardik.
Yes.
Now the runs are expected from Rohit and Rahul. I mean, Virat now is looking like vintage Virat. Surya Kumar
Correct.
Yadav, yes, he could have made a few more runs, but he didn't look out of touch at all. If you get the top order clicking, then I would say then India is at full throttle.
But would you want to see DK get a little bit of an extended run up ahead? Although them to figure out what Akshar Patel's role actually has to be in the team. कुछ spots हैं, कुछ choices हैं, which is baffling. आपको
Yeah, I
लगता
mean,
है
look,
कि they're doing it early on in the tournament so they can experiment? Or do you believe should they just play with a tried and tested कि भाई ऐसे ही खेलना है और इसी को जरा settle होने दो?
no, I don't think. You see, what will happen is what you say is a possibility. But if you say push DK up to number 3 or 4 or something like that, just to give him more crease time, more time in the middle, and if he doesn't click, then he starts kind of start worrying about his own form. The team starts wondering, or the think tank says, "Arey, ab kya kare?" I think they'll retain the same 11 with the same batting order. They won't mess around with it. Akshar they pushed up in that match just to kind of get a right-hander, left-hander mix. It didn't work. And Akshar, in my opinion, is a fine T20 player. But in Australian conditions, if it's going to be a problem, then you're better off with Yuzvendra Chahal, who's a leg spinner and likely to get more purchase. The only niggling issue is Akshar can bat. He can give you runs with the bat. But he doesn't have that much experience, so he
Right.
could be a little. ये एक मामला है दुविधा का थोड़ा for Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma.
Correct. अभी यहाँ पर रविंद्र जडेजा होता तो क्या बात होती. But you have to make do with what is there. The pace attack looks so much more settled. अब की बार ऐसा लग रहा है कि हमारे bowling में हमको कोई टेंशन ही नहीं है. चाहे भले ही कोई इंजरी से वापस आ रहा हो नहीं आ रहा हो, यंगस्टर्स इतने अच्छे लड़के हैं. शार्दुल waiting in the ranks है. Arshdeep has already come out. Quick word on Arshdeep. That was a great remark that came in. I think Sundar Pichai of Google was the one who the Pakistanis were trying to scroll because he said the last 3 overs were magical for India while batting. So they said you should have seen the first 3 overs, and he responded saying, "हाँ, 3 overs भी अच्छे थे. Arshdeep bowled like a dream, and Bhuvi was right on the mark." So,
Yes.
so that response was also phenomenal. But we've got to give it to this boy also, isn't it? Would you like to see him perhaps shape up more? You think through the tournament he will? And
Of course
how
he
do
will.
they not make sure that? How do they make sure that the pressure doesn't get to him? Because except burden of expectations is huge. We are very ruthless as fans.
Yeah.
एक दिन
I mean,
throw
he
करते
was.
हैं अगले दिन भी करते हैं.
बिल्कुल
ऐसे ही है.
बिल्कुल ये तो है. I mean, that's the pressure that he's had to bear the brunt in the when he was trolled heavily last time when he leaked a few runs in an international match.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's playing is his first World Cup.
Catch drop किया था.
With his catch drop किया था. With his first delivery in his first World Cup, he gets the wicket of Babar Azam. Now that creates a mountain, Himalayan expectations of Himalayan proportions. But I've met him a couple of times. He's got tremendous temperament. That boy is remarkable for his temperament. And where his ability and his skills is concerned, I can only quote what Anil Kumble has said in one of the interviews or wherever he has spoken, that he can deliver for India like the way Zahir Khan did, and no praise can be higher. You're talking of somebody who played for India for 15, 16 years and was a master. He was a maestro, Zahir Khan. If Anil Kumble sees potential of Zahir Khan and young Arshdeep, then I think we have to keep our sights focused on this young man and see where he takes us.
Like in very traditional Singaporean, if Shahid can, then Arshdeep can la much better. But I just want to I want to end by saying we've got limited time. I just want to end by saying that ये जो मूछ है पहले उस दिन फर्स्ट डे थोड़ा नीचे था अभी थोड़ा साइडवेज हो रहा है बाय द टाइम आप नेदरलैंड्स के मैच के बाद ये ऐसे साइड से ट्वेल होने लगेगा
I, I, pro- I'm promising you once we are in the knockout, तो मैं ऊपर तो कर ही दूंगा इसको. I'm going to twirl my mustache up just to say, instead of just a thumbs up, it'll be mooch up for India.
मूछ well done. ये देखिए मुझे तो अयाज भाई जैसी हो वरना ना हो ओरिजिनल है ओरिजिनल. So that's
हाँ
what.
बिल्कुल ओरिजिनल.
But Ayaz bhai, always pleasure speaking cricket. I wish you speedy recovery and get on to that plane quickly because Netherlands के बाद फिर तो इंडिया से फिर ट्रॉफी की उम्मीद से कम नहीं है क्योंकि पाकिस्तान की जीत के बाद से ही पहले ही बोल रहा है कि ट्रॉफी हमारी है. अब नेदरलैंड के बाद फिर they should be favorites.
मैं तो ऑलरेडी रनवे पे हूँ.
You think they're favorites?
I'm waiting on the runway to take the flight. और प्लेन अगर नहीं मिली तो मेरे ख्याल से मैं भागना शुरू कर दूंगा. somehow reach there.
somehow अगर मैं शुरू कर दूंगा तो मैं पहले डार्विन पहुंच जाऊंगा बट वहां से फिर मुझे सिडनी पहुंचना पड़ेगा. That I will be traversing all across the continent. But fantastic. Always a pleasure speaking with you, Ayaz bhai. Thank you very, very much. So on
Thank
this
you.
edition of
Thanks,
the free
Anand.
hit, we've built up, we've looked back at the India-Pakistan game and we're building up to Netherlands. We'll catch up again soon, tracking India's journey through this T20 World Cup in Australia, the World T20 in Australia. As always, thank you very much for watching. Signing off. Bye for now.